On Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go yourself.
The studio laughed when Stephen Colbert walked to his desk, but the laughter faded quickly. Something was different in his expression that night. The familiar smile appeared for only a brief moment before giving way to something colder and unmistakably personal. This was not another routine monologue about Donald Trump. This time, the target was closer to home. Colbert spoke about his own network, its parent company, and a $16 million settlement that could no longer be ignored. Paramount Global had agreed to pay Trump over a 60 Minutes interview, and Colbert called the payment what...
My mustache comes to you with a heavy heart because while I was on vacation, my parent corporation, Paramount, paid Donald Trump a $16 million settlement over his 60 Minutes lawsuit. As someone who has always been a proud employee of this network, I am offended. And I don't know if anything will ever repair my trust in this company. But just taking a stab at it, I'd say $16 million would help.
For older Americans watching at home, that distinction mattered. They remember a time when network news carried authority, when journalists challenged power instead of negotiating with it. Colbert slowed the story down and walked viewers through the facts. Trump had sued CBS over the editing of a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris. Legal experts questioned the strength...
I believe this kind of complicated financial settlement with a sitting government official has a technical name in legal circles. It's big fat bribe. Because this all comes as Paramount's owners are trying to get the Trump administration to approve the sale of our network to a new owner, Skydance. Not the music I was expecting. Okay. That was me dancing.
Colbert never accused executives directly. He didn't need to. He simply laid out the sequence and allowed the audience to connect the dots. Lawsuit, settlement, merger pressure, political tension. Then, suddenly, the announcement that The Late Show would end. CBS insisted the cancellation was financial, not political. But Colbert's point was never that a corporate statement could erase public doubt. When a network pays a sitting president millions and then cancels one of his most visible critics days later, people don't need a conspiracy theory to feel uneasy. They only need a calendar. Journalism exists to make powerful people uncomfortable, not to make executives nervous about regulatory approval. Trump's response only deepened that discomfort. Instead of addressing concerns about media independence,
But last week, Bondi dropped a bombdi, releasing a memo saying that there is no incriminating client list of Epstein and no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals. You can't take this away from your base. That is MAGA's favorite conspiracy. What are we going to find out next? That immigrants aren't eating cats?
A leader confident in free expression could have stayed silent. A president secure in democratic norms could have acknowledged a comedian's right to criticize him. Instead, the familiar pattern returned. Attack the critic, celebrate the damage, turn another institution into a trophy. Colbert presented the contrast without raising his voice. One side called it business, the other treated it like punishment, and in between stood a comedian behind a desk, asking whether the country was still comfortable with that reality. For older viewers, the moment carried a warning. They remember presidents who disliked the press but still respected its role. They remember when mocking the White House was part of democracy, not something to cheer when careers collapsed. The real silence wasn't the loss of a show or a corporate press release. It was the moment audiences realized how easily institutions bend when money, politics, and fear occupy the same room. A corporation can call it strategy. A politician can call it ratings. But the public can still ask why the timing feels so convenient. Colbert's real act of courage wasn't a joke. It was criticizing the company that paid him. Sitting at a CBS desk, he said the settlement felt wrong. In an industry where language is often softened to preserve access, that clarity still matters. By the end, the story wasn't only about Stephen Colbert. It became a question about whether American media can remain independent when billion-dollar mergers, federal regulators, corporate fear, and presidential anger all collide.